Imagine this, a dark underground tunnel, Roman soldiers cautiously advancing with torches in hand. Suddenly a guttural roar echoes from the darkness, and a furious bear charges at them. Panic, chaos, the clash of swords against thick fur. No, this is not a scene from a Hollywood blockbuster, but a real episode from ancient history. In 71 BC, the besieged inhabitants of the Pontic city of Themiscyra devised a terrifying method that made the Romans' blood run cold. War bears and a swarm of bees in the underground passages. How did it happen? Let's find out. Picture this. Night, a damp underground tunnel where the only sounds are the soldiers breathing and the occasional drip of water from the ceiling. Roman legionaries move forward slowly, holding their torches before them. The ground beneath their feet is soft, the air thick with the scent of moisture and earth. They are close to their goal. Just a little further, and they will break through into the besieged city. But suddenly a strange guttural sound comes from up ahead. The soldiers freeze, listening. Silence. Then once again, that low, vibrating roar, as if the very air in the tunnel is growing denser. Someone takes a step back, someone else grips the hilt of their sword tighter, and in the next instant, a massive shadow bursts from the darkness. A bear. Enraged, thrown into this tunnel by the city's desperate defenders, it charges at the Romans with the fury of a cornered beast. Screams, chaos, torch flames flickering wildly against the tunnel walls. Someone tries to drive a gladius into the animal, but its thick fur barely yields. The bear slams a soldier to the ground, its clawed paw tearing through armor, blood splattering onto the stone floor. The others try to retreat, but the tunnel is narrow, and panic only worsens the situation. This is not a scene from a historical movie. This was a real event in an ancient war, nearly 100 years before our era. The Roman legions, under the command of Lucius Lucullus, were besieging a city called Themiscyra. This city lay within the kingdom of Pontus, a state that had long been at war with Rome. According to legends, this was once the homeland of the Amazons, the warrior women of ancient myth. However, when the Romans arrived at the city walls, they found no beautiful, muscular Amazons among the defenders. Disappointed, they decided simply to destroy the city. But it wasn't that easy. The city was well fortified, its walls strong, its defenders determined. The first assault failed, forcing the Romans to lay siege. They were experienced in such tactics. Roman armies had conquered countless cities before. Their engineers quickly began digging tunnels, a tried and tested strategy that allowed them to undermine walls or breach enemy defenses. Slowly and cautiously, the soldiers excavated tunnels beneath the city, planning to emerge unexpectedly in the heart of Themiscyra. But the city's defenders were no fools. They noticed the excavation, tracked the Romans' progress, and prepared a nasty surprise. When the Roman sappers reached their target and began preparing an exit, the Pontic defenders carved holes into the tunnel ceiling and dropped several bears inside. Enraged, terrified, and trapped, the massive animals had no choice but to attack. Imagine what the Roman soldiers must have felt in that moment. They were in a confined tunnel, narrow, low, with no room to maneuver. The weapons they relied on in open battle were nearly useless against these massive predators. A gladius was effective against human enemies, but not against a thick-skinned bear. The pilum, a heavy javelin meant for ranged attacks, was completely impractical in such a space. Their only option was to survive. But the Pontic defenders didn't stop there. They decided to make the situation even worse for the Romans. After the bears, they threw several beehives into the tunnel. Imagine the nightmare. In a narrow space filled with panicked soldiers, furious bees swarmed everywhere, stinging indiscriminately, while the bears roared and wounded men screamed. Torches fell, casting wild shadows in the chaos. The Roman assault collapsed. The tunnel had turned into a death trap, forcing the legionaries to retreat, leaving behind dozens of dead and wounded. Some managed to escape, but once they reached the surface, new horrors awaited them. The city's defenders were already preparing to strike the weakened survivors. This episode became one of the most unconventional tactics recorded in military history. The ancient historian Appian described the battle, but did not clarify whether the use of war bears was a common Pontic strategy or a desperate last-minute decision. Either way, the fact remains, the Roman soldiers faced not just enemy warriors, but also nature itself, turned into a weapon. In the end, Themiscyra fell. The Roman legions received reinforcements, while the army of King Mithridates, which was supposed to aid the city, suffered defeat. The defenders fought to the last, but the odds were too great. The city was destroyed, its inhabitants either killed or captured. Yet this episode remains one of the most extraordinary examples of military ingenuity. The Pontic defenders didn't just fight back. They used every available resource to stop the Romans: bears, bees, the narrow underground tunnels where the enemy couldn't fight effectively. All of these elements formed a deadly tactical trap. This story proves one thing. In war, victory doesn't always go to the side with the most soldiers or the best weapons. It goes to those who think creatively, who understand how to use the environment, and even animals, to their advantage. Friends, if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss more fascinating historical facts. Here, we explore the most unusual and thrilling events of the past, stories often more incredible than any movie. Give this a like, share your thoughts in the comments, and let us know what battle or historical moment you'd like to hear about next. See you soon.